I was just trying to verify the quill slash spindle, that little bit of tip, that half thou across that 3 inches when the quill was extended. Been a couple suggestions that maybe that's just purely the clearance required so the quill can go in and out, which makes sense. I've got a few V blocks here, few sets actually. I've got a smaller set here that I was using. I've got a bigger set here, and everything I did with those, put the spindle on those V blocks, I was seeing 1 thou across the whole length of the spindle here. And the latest thing I just discovered was when I just kind of like a verification, I spun the spindle 180, so I was getting 0 at this end, minus 1 thou, and then when I turned the spindle around I got the opposite, right? So there's something wrong with the V blocks. They're out by about 1 thou. So I thought, well, and then I was measuring this with a mic, which I don't have a tense mic for 2 to 3 inch. So anyways, long story, but what I decided to do was just use the surface plate and just and I could roll the spindle in, and pretty much regardless where I roll it in, I'm getting the same diameter. So the spindle is round, and there's no taper or anything in the spindle. So I do think that half a thou is just purely the clearance between the spindle and the quill itself. So next step is going to be to glue up the back of the spindle housing here, and just hand scrape this and flatten it out. So I've just wiped off the back of the spindle, and I got it up on one of my this would have been my original granite surface plate, and I've got it glued. I'll just move that around a little bit. And it's not terrible, but we'll clean it up a bit. We'll do a couple cycles here, see if we can get a little better contact. This outer 1/2 inch, and then there's the T-bolt slot, and then the inner are the important two. We'll try and scrape that all flat. So I'm going to call that flat now. That's that technique of putting jeweler's rouge on first, and then just wiping it, so it's just the thinnest possible, and then bluing, and it just makes that bluing pop and the patterns and everything. I could maybe break that up a little bit more, but I'm pretty satisfied right now with that for the purpose anyways. So I've got the spindle back in the housing, and with a little bit of oil on it, and that's a 0 there, and then I'm plus 3/10 there. But I think what's going on is I can actually if I hold this the housing down and just pick up on the spindle. I can get that 3/10 out of there no problem. So I think what's happening is it's just the play between the housing and the spindle. We got the spindle out of there now, and then hopefully that's showing up. Surface is looking pretty good there on the back, nice and flat now. So now we're going to do a little bit more cleanup on the housing. And we got to get the spindle apart still. Check the bearings.